Jag vet inte varför. Har vi det så?
Nu hör vi.
Tack så mycket. Välkommen på informationsmöte om Sverige-Indien-samarbete kring cement och alternativa bindemedel samt klimatarbete. Det här seminariet kommer ju att genomföras på engelska, så jag kommer att gå över till engelska. Welcome to the information seminar about Swedish-Indian cooperation activities within the cement and concrete net zero agendas. My name is Katarina Malaga, and I'm head of R&D and market development in area of infrastructure and concrete technology at RISE Research Institutes of Sweden. And I will be the hosting the whole seminar today in cooperation with Swedish Energy Agency. I will just start this meeting, just some information in the beginning about the program for today. Please turn off your microphones, and concerning the questions, you can send the questions by chat function in this program, and we will collect them in the end. You will be also able to ask them directly in the end of the program, as you can see. You can send them in Swedish or in English. It's free for this. So the program is, as you can see, we will start with me giving you some introduction why we are here today. And then we will have some presentation from Näringslivsdepartementet and from India and from Swedish Energy Agency. So I will give you some information why RISE is hosting this seminar and what is our role actually in this cooperation between India and Sweden. We are a research institute, the largest one, independent, with very long experience in cement and concrete. We have a competence base, which is actually stretching from 1940s. And we are actually the largest laboratory for cement and concrete development in Sweden. We are also acting as a support to Swedish Energy Agency in cement and concrete issues concerning this cooperation, and we can be facilitator for support as a support to Swedish industry to create the contacts and facilitate create the interest areas for Swedish industry in India. We are also having a large network with industry and scientific world, so we are constantly updating the state of the art, what is going on in the world. And we are also going to represent Sweden at different events concerning the cement and concrete cooperation between Sweden and India. And the first one is going to happen already in October. As you can see, it's India Sweden Innovation Day, which will be in Stockholm, where several companies will be visited by the Indian representation, and the initial contacts can be made already there. We are also going to participate in the conference in New Delhi in November, and you see just on this picture the brochure what it's about, and this is an international conference, an exhibition on cement, concrete and building materials. We are planning also to have a short summary meeting after this conference for you to just summarize the aspects which were discussed and presented at this conference. Just give you some glimpse about what RISE Cement and Concrete is working on, the main activities. Of course, we are focusing on sustainability within different areas. We are performing a number of R&D projects. We work and focus on characterization and testing. We are also performing a type of consulting, qualified consulting, quality control, damage assessment, and analysis of different types of materials. We also provide the help on the way to certification and regulatory issues. As you can see on those pictures, we are working with new binders. We develop new binders, we test them. We work with applied concrete technology, with structure durability and service life issues, of course, within the concrete area. We also focus on a very actual subject, which is recycling and circularity, including CCS and CCU. We also have a lab and a robot for 3D printing with concrete. And we also focus on application, for example, of dynamic injection in tunnels. Why are we talking actually about cement and concrete and all those challenges which are waiting for us? It's that there is a main issue concerning cement production, and this is carbon dioxide emissions, which are standing for around between 6 and 8% of the global emissions of CO2. The cement production, as we can see on the left picture, was increasing dramatically after the Second World War, and it's reaching about 4 billion tons per year. And this is the most produced material in the world after water. So the amounts are huge. And what the scientific and economic papers are saying is it might increase in the next 10, 15 years by 50%. So which means that the production of cement and the need for cement is not going to go down. In contrary, it's going to increase. So it's we need to find a way to diminish the CO2 emissions. The concrete market, which is, of course, concrete is partly cement, is $1 trillion market. And those predictions you see on the right picture are showing how this market is predicted to develop. And as you can see, ready-mix, precast, and especially the green concrete, it's going to double or more. So there is potential for development. There is also a great need for this. So there are those challenges which are going to face in cement and concrete. I was summarizing them in some points here. And it's energy efficient cement production, new feedstocks for local production of alternative binders. We want to have material sources that are locally available. We want to have also low clinker cement. We are looking for advanced technologies for production of binders. We need to provide the efficient use of cement in concrete, so-called binder efficiency. We need to also include circularity issues. Of course, CCS and CCU is assumed to solve quite a lot of CO2 emissions, but we need to find also other solutions. And in extension, the concrete design is very important. We don't need to use more material than we need. So this was those challenges which are actually, I want to summarize in the diagram showing what is going on in the world right now. So this picture is summarizing not all of the companies which are active in different areas, but it's a quite good summary showing you where the activities are going on. On the left side, you see the stage, which is describing on the what level those companies are right now. And this is so-called TRL levels, which means technology readiness level. And TRL 1 to 3 is at lab, which is basically fundamental research done at universities or just starting research. TRL 4 to 5 is at pilot scale, where you are actually testing and verifying your ideas. Then there is a demonstration, which is on quite high level, and then commercialization, which is coming to TRL 8 to 9. And then in what areas the most activities are going on? As you can see, it's in alternative raw materials, process efficiency, and carbon storage. There are many companies actually active in between TRL 4 to 7. There are few which are ready to market the products, but most of them are still at the demonstration level. There are very few in recycled concrete, biochemical activation of the material, and electrochemistry. So this is my last picture, which I'm showing from our side, and I hope we will have a very interesting presentation. So I would like to invite Johanna Liesinger-Paetz.
Thank you very much for the invitation and also for your, I think, very good presentation linking to also what I will be talking about. And thank you for the opportunity to give an introduction of the leadership group to industry transition, LeadIT. Oops.
Yes.
And LeadIT provides in many ways it's moving around a little bit in the presentation. It's fine, but if you could stay with the first picture just for now, and then I will tell you when to move to the next picture.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So LeadIT in many ways provides an umbrella for our engagement with heavy industry, including the cement industry. And it also provides an umbrella for what I know that Lisa and Stenberg will talk about later today, the industry transition partnership that we have with India. And I'm also glad to see that our colleagues from India are joining this meeting here today. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Johanna Liesinger-Paetz, Senior Advisor at the Ministry of Climate and Enterprise. And before I move to the next picture, let me just say that when LeadIT was launched in 2019, it was a very high priority for our government, and 5 years down the road, it remains an equally high priority. And we are very proud of the work that we are doing together with India, who was also a funding partner to LeadIT. Next. Thank you. So LeadIT was launched by Sweden and India in 2019 at the Climate Action Summit. The summit was hosted by the Secretary General, and at the time he conveyed a group of countries in, I think, 8-9 different areas where he saw that more work needed to be done to deliver on the Paris Agreement's goal. There were areas such as adaptation, finance, energy. And at the time, Sweden and India was paired up to work with what we in 2019 talked about as impossible or hard to abate sector. LeadIT was the first. Can you keep the other picture, and then you don't have to move until I say next, because otherwise I think it will be a bit messy. So just keep calm, and I say next, and you will move. Thank you very much. So it was the first global high-level initiative aimed at reaching to net zero for heavy industries. And it was also in the sense of a time where we were, let's say, not having a lot of initiatives in the global arena in sectors such as steel, cement, etc. Today, the landscape looks very different, and there's a range of different initiatives addressing these sectors. So what makes LeadIT unique? It's focusing on implementing orientated partnerships. It's focusing on implementing change on the ground. And I think in that's where the biggest challenges, but also the biggest opportunities are, which is also why I think today's meeting is so important for this specific sector. We are also working with governments, business, finance experts for a coordinated impact of transition of heavy industry. Next, please. So the first, let's say, the first vision and reason to actually establish LeadIT was very much to mobilize momentum in the hard-to-abate sectors. And 5 years down the road, having looked at what partners have launched in the case of partnerships, initiatives to tackling challenges within the industry transition, we have actually achieved the first step of the vision, which was building the momentum. So last year, it was time for the second step, and this was launched as a LeadIT 2.0 at the COP in Dubai by Prime Minister Kristersson and Prime Minister Modi, with a new vision of aligning industry with the Paris Agreement by 2030 to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050. At the time, there was also a new mission launched, and the mission is very much focused on driving the development of policy and regulatory frameworks that support an inclusive, just, and equitable transition by fostering private-public partnerships, mobilizing resources, and supporting knowledge sharing. Next, please. So this is in a way a very simple picture, but I think it in an elegant way is showing all of the components where we are focusing our work within LeadIT. And I think also our experience has told us that we need to work on all of these three gaps, also to avoid sub-optimization and reach true progress. And no surprise to, I think, colleagues in this virtual room, but while significant progress is very much being made, the gap to reach the goals are still there. And we also see that some of the gap depends on that we are not yet there when it comes to enabling conditions. So let me just mention a few that we have identified, such as access to clean power, technology, finance, stronger demand signals, credible policy frameworks, and effective and efficient permits procedures. Next, please. So who are LeadIT? LeadIT consists of 18 countries, accounting for approximately 50% of the global GDP. Next. It also consists of 22 companies. And it's really this partnership between government and companies that makes, let's say, the core of LeadIT, and also makes it a little bit unique in relation to many of the other global partnerships. And what is then required for being a LeadIT member? And members should then, among other things, support, of course, the industry transition, demonstrate commitment to bold and ambitious emissions targets in line with the Paris Agreement, subscribe to the mission and vision, of course, and engage in promoting industry transition. So these are, let's say, a few key components that we ask of our members, companies as countries, to actually be able to become a member. Next, please. So the core of LeadIT is, let's say, 3 pillars, and this is the first one. The first pillar is focusing on a global forum for a just and equitable industry transition. This is the pillar where we secure a space between governments and industry, equipping members with know-how, information. This is also the space, and this is, I think, what you see on the picture, where we have our yearly LeadIT summit that most often take place in conjunction with the climate COPs. So this year in Baku and next year in Brazil. One part of this pillar is also tracking and monitoring the pace of transition. Next, please. And I just wanted to briefly show, and you can find this on the LeadIT webpage if you just look for the cement technology tracker, which is a preliminary list of carbon capture projects in the cement industry, which aims to support decision makers in policy, academia, civil society, industry, and it tracks the public announcements of investments in low carbon cement technologies and present them in one place in a transparent way. And it's interesting, like if you look at the tracker now, it actually shows more real action on implementation that is taking place within the calcined clay than the CCUS, and these are the two ones that you can follow in the tracker for the time. Almost half of the calcined clay projects are fully operational, while many of the CCUS are still in pilot and demonstration project. And I think the people working with the cement tracker is also looking at adding new technologies as we go along. Next. The second pillar is the technology transfer and the co-development, where the very key is to mobilize support and engagement from the relevant industry, government, and research. And in a way, it's actually very much what the next 2 hours is or 1 hour is about, to focus on finding partners of co-development of technology, etc. And this pillar aims very much in the formation of business-to-business collaboration of transfer of development of clean technologies. And then the next one, and we will reach the third and the last pillar. And this pillar is about industry transition partnerships. And I think we will hear more about this later today. The industry transition partnerships are coordinated to, let's say, create a coordinated multilateral assistance offer where the LeadIT Secretariat could work with interested countries by mapping, aggregating, and strengthening technical and financial international assistance, covering not just financial support, but technology, know-how, etc. And then just maybe the last picture. So let me show an example of an industry transition partnership. And we established with India, again, on that very highest level. So this is a project that has strong support from, I think, the highest level in both our countries, with our prime ministers, respective prime ministers, launching the India-Sweden Industry Transition Partnership Platform at COP28. We are working towards COP30 with COP29 as a stepping stone, but COP30 is really the moment to deliver. The partnership is covering 4 different areas: cement, which is the topic of today, steel, innovation, and here it was really interesting, Katarina, to see your picture on innovation and markets before. And the last part is the finance. I will not talk about this specific partnership because I know it will be covered later in the agenda, but I would like to say that this partnership of an industry transition platform between Sweden and India, with involved companies, with agencies, with research institute, is in a very many ways unique. It's very exciting. We are not following a well-known path, but we are kind of tracking a new path together as partners. And I think today's meeting is actually very much an essential contribution to implement and to realize the partnership with India on the industry transition platform. So with that, I thank you and very much looking forward to the next presentations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Then we are going to the next presentations, and our partners, cooperation partners from India, will give us some insights of Indian cement sector national priorities. Please.
Yeah, good afternoon from Delhi, India. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. And we can see you.
Good afternoon once again from Delhi. First of all, thank you for inviting us to be a part of this interaction where we are expected to provide the Indian perspective and the expectation of the Indian cement industry from Sweden in the field of carbon capture and utilization. So I will just touch upon the issue very briefly, and then I will request my colleague Dr. Chaturvedi from the National Council of Cement Building Material to give the specifics of our requirements. So to begin with, as you may be knowing, India is the second largest manufacturer of the cement in the world, and our companies comprises about there are 155 total companies cement plants, and we have produced 427 million tons of the cement in the previous financial year, that was 2023-24. So our journey towards decarbonization of the Indian cement industry started in 2012 when we prepared a low carbon technology roadmap specifically for the Indian cement industry, when International Energy Agency and the Cement Sustainability Initiative, in collaboration with the Confederation of Indian Industry and the National Council for Cement and Building Material, prepared the roadmap. And we identified about 4 levers for this decarbonization process. These were substitution of clinker, use of alternative fuel and raw materials, improving energy efficiency, and installation of waste heat recovery. So India has adopted these levers and working in this regard, and we have been able to reduce the emissions to some extent from the previous levels. However, the challenge for this decarbonization of Indian cement industry is to reduce the process emissions arising out of the calcination of limestone. And we feel that to achieve this target of net zero cement industry, implementation of carbon capture and utilization is required. We think that it will play an important role in addressing the climate change by the cement and concrete industry. And for the CCUS to take off in India, it is important to fund and support the initial demonstration scale of CCUS projects. And it is in this direction that the collaboration between the India and the Sweden under the ITP could play an important role. As we are exploring, as both the sides are exploring to have demonstration projects like those implemented in Sweden, which can be implemented in few plants in India, so that the Indian industry is able to have some expertise to run the CCU facility. And both the Indian and Swedish sides are also exploring funding for setting up of such demonstration projects under the ITP arrangements. So with this, I will request Dr. Chaturvedi to give some specifics of requirement which we are expecting from the Swedish side. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes.
I will just briefly touch upon the various areas where we are specifically looking input and support from Swedish establishments. These areas will be focusing on CCUS technologies and decarbonization of Indian cement industry, particularly electric arc calciner. Like can we have a electric arc system for heating the material inside the calciner? Next, CO2 liquefaction technology. Third one is bioenergy carbon capture and storage. Then fourth one is use of hydrogen as a fuel in the cement kilns. These are the broader areas where we are working also, and we have Indian cement industry has interest to further work and have demo projects in their premises. Next one is post-combustion carbon capture technologies which are available for capturing carbon after its combustion of coal. Then oxy-fuel combustion. Next one is RDF gasification, that is refuse dry fuels. Gasification of refuse dry fuels, and it's used as a fuel in the rotary kiln. Then production of methanol from the captured CO2, solar thermal energy application in cement kilns. That is how to converge solar thermal energy and heat the rotary kiln system. Next one is accelerated mineral carbonation technologies, which I think the institute in Sweden is working to a larger extent. Carbon sequestration in no-lime materials. This is a real challenging area in India. So far, we are discussing about mineralization technologies for lime-bearing materials with a particular background that calcium oxide will be converted to calcium carbonate. We have a huge quantities of other materials which do not contain or contain a very less amount of calcium oxide. So how to capture CO2 in those materials is a real challenge, and we are looking for some support in that line. And lastly is enhancing the alternate fuels utilization in cement kilns. So these are the broad areas where Indian cement industry will be interested to join hand to have demo projects and any kind of support which Swedish counterpart can extend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I hope there will be some questions to you or comments. So thank you for this presentation. And I guess that we are going to next presentation from India.
Hello.
Mr. Murali? Can I come in for a second?
Yes, please.
Yeah, as already told to Mr. Ludwig, we have another meeting for which we have to rush right now. So any questions, if any questions are there, our email addresses, both mine and Mr. Chaturvedi's, are available with Mr. Ludwig and the other colleagues from SEA. So they can be posted to us through email.
Yes, okay, then we will collect them. Yes,
we'll
thank you
take care of that.
Yes. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you, Mr. Vadra. Thank you, Chaturvedi.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, then we go to the next presentation about Indian cement industry priorities towards net zero. Please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope I am audible and clear.
If you could increase the volume maybe of your microphone. I don't know if this is me or...
Is it okay now?
Yes, it's. I can hear you. So
yeah, thank you very much. And can you give me the control?
You can take the control maybe if you are asking for control. So I think then you can just try to take it over. I cannot give you the control. I think you need to ask for the control.
Yeah, I think it is blocked by the administrator. Can the admin?
Yeah, otherwise I will just push the button for you.
Or otherwise I can do one thing. I can share my screen. Is that allowed?
I would say it's a little bit easier because we are recording. So I can just help you if it's okay.
Yeah, fine, no problem. So thank you very much. So my name is Murali Krishnan. I am from CII. So thanks for the opportunity. Good morning once again to everyone. So we will quickly go through the industry performance in various levers in decarbonization currently, and then the carbon reduction commitments made by some of the Indian groups, and then the feedback what we have collected recently from the Indian companies on their decarbonization strategies, what they are aiming for and what they have done already. And then maybe the support needed and the way forward, in our opinion, what the industry is looking for. The next slide, please. Yeah, so this slide gives the performance of the sector at a whole. The installed capacity is about 670 million. The cement production, as mentioned by the previous speaker, is about 375 million in 2023. The CAGR expected, the annual growth rate is about 5%. And then the per capita consumption is slightly lower. So we have a lot of opportunity the infrastructure is getting developed. And like you mentioned in the beginning, the cement production and consumption is expected to reach peak at 2040. So the Indian cement industry will continue to increase the production and then increase the emissions. And many of the levers, maybe some of the levers, we are at a very good level internationally. For example, the electrical energy consumption, the numbers are quite lower. And then in thermal energy consumption as well, the best plants in the world, the technology-wise, the adoption is very good because 99% of the companies are from the private sector. Next slide, please. So for the pass of time, I will not go through the individual parameter in the slide, but I will only address upon the key points. The clinker factor, again, in the Indian cement industry is very good. It's about 68%, 0.68. The blended cement share is also very good. It's about 75%. And then the potential is to increase the share further. And then, of course, the new technologies, new types of cement like LC3, maybe geopolymer cement, maybe other low clinker cements are other potential. And then some of the major groups, the Adani, which is Yelsoil, Lafarge Holcim, and Dalmia and JSW, they have a very high blended cement, more than 90%, 85%. And their clinker factor is also quite low. For example, you can see the JSW cement is having a clinker factor overall 0.44. And some of them have very low emission intensity because of the production of slag cement and composite cement, where the standard allows to add fly ash and slag and clinker as low as 35%. Next slide, please. So they are also working on the application-specific cement. As you rightly mentioned at the beginning, maybe we have to customize and then adopt maybe low carbon footprint concretes or cements for specific application. Again, we are also working on this initiative along with the cement industry and the stakeholders to arrive at a new area. This is also another area which the cement industry is also looking for. Next slide, please. Yeah. Of the various levers, the one of the lever what India has done in the last 15 years is from zero level in 2010 or 2013, the TSR was less than 1%, but today it has become 6% on a country average. And then there are about 10 plants which are using more than 30% TSR. Of course, you have to understand the volume of the cement production is very high. So the absolute quantity of the alternative fuels used in cement plants are much higher. There are more than 55 plus plants which have developed the infrastructure for alternative fuel. Maybe next to energy efficiency, maybe this is one lever what the Indian industry is looking for to accelerate immediately as a step towards decarbonization. The latest carbon capture trading mechanism, the Perform Achieve Trade scheme of Government of India, is getting converted into local Indian carbon market, wherein the emission from alternative fuel is fully considered in line with Basel Convention. It is not accounted in the total emission. So several groups are targeting 30% TSR by 2030. This is one of the major levers they are aiming. So any technology, any experience, any relevance will be very useful here. This is one of the lever. Next slide, please. So these are the various varieties of material. You can always see like RDF and MSW is the major share. More than 50% of the alternative fuels used is the MSW and RDF, where the municipalities with a good policy push is moving on a higher scale. Next slide, please. Yeah, next one. Thank you. So we are also doing a mapping and utilization study, maybe use of AI tools, and then maybe connecting with the producers or the plants where these alternative fuels is available can also be another area. Maybe use of AI and platforms will be very useful for this. Next slide, please. Yeah, complete slide. So the other opportunity what the Indian cement industry has done well with in line with the government policy of promoting renewable energy is more than 1 gigawatt of renewable energy has been installed by various cement plants in the country. And in terms of waste heat recovery also, it is more than 1 gigawatt. 1040 megawatt is the installed capacity, and they have running capability of more than 90%. And 65%, there are few plants which operate with the 65% green energy in integrated plant. And there are few grinding units which has 76% of their electrical energy coming from renewable energy. So renewable energy is another area where the Indian industry is also looking in an aggressive way. And some of the companies have also committed for RE100. And this is also another potential area if we are able to come with latest technology with more efficiency and quicker payback and then some monitoring tools. The industry will be very happy to explore that and then implement that. Next slide, please. So across the state, this is how the intensity of renewable energy adoption. For example, state down south, Tamil Nadu, and then Rajasthan, which is very close to Delhi, are few states which have favorable policy, and there are many other states which are having some middle level policy, and then there are some areas where the policies is not that much supportive. But overall, as a country, the renewable energy adoption is coming very high, and cement plants especially are also adopting them at a very high level. Next slide, please. So we have examples of floating solar plant, as well as the re-engineering or repowering of windmills is another potential. One of the state like Tamil Nadu down south has installed more than 3 gigawatt of wind energy early 20 years, 15 years back. So all these sizes are very small. So there is a good potential for re-engineering and repowering as well. Next slide, please. So the other opportunity, which is the next area of interest, will be the India being a large country and then a lot of transport emission, though it is not a major contributor, but scope 3 is also important for cement companies when they want to become net zero. So the other area is about the EV truck, where the POCs have happened. Some of the companies have adopted at least 50 e-trucks are running in the cement plants, which is very small compared to the overall potential. But this is one area where a lot of policy developments have to happen. Maybe the POCs have to be converted into replication. Some push from the industry and the government can make it bigger. So next slide, please. Yeah. So in the existing scenario, 11 organizations in India have committed for SBTi, and 5 out of 11 NSE companies, National Stock Exchange listed companies in cement, have committed for net zero. Next slide, please. So this is the international roadmap, which all of us know. I don't want to repeat that. Next slide, please. So these are the overall level as on today. The commitments made by the Indian cement companies. For example, Adani, which is consisting of ACC and Ambuja, they have committed for net zero at a company level. Dalmia, of course, they are part of already LeadIT, and they have commitment removed for net zero, but they are also having a strategy and then long-term, near-term target of well below 2 degrees. JK Cement, JK Lakshmi Cement, JSW, Sagar Cement, Sri Cement, India Cements, Udaipur Cement, and Ultratech Cement. These are the major companies. They approximately cover more than 70% of the cement plants, and they all have strategies in near-term targets. Of course, long-term target, they have not yet clearly put the roadmap in the public domain, but some of them have committed for net zero. At least 5 of them have committed for net zero. Next slide, please. So these are the individual targets in terms of the scope 1 or scope 2. You can see like Heidelberg operating in India, Adani Cement, which is consisting of ACC and Abuja, Dalmia Cement, JK Cement, JSW Cement. They all have target by 15% to 30% emission intensity reduction in scope 1, and then scope 2 also as a decent number. They also have publicly announced their target for their TSR level, alternative fuel utilization. You can see here by, for example, Dalmia Cement has committed 100% by 2035. More than 30%, 40% they are committing for 2030. And then renewable energy also, all of them are significantly committing. Of course, the clinker factor reduction also, many of them have committed for a significant reduction further. Next slide, please. So with those targets, so these are the net zero years committed by Dalmia earlier, but of course in their website we see that it is withdrawn. And then JK Cement net zero by 2050, JSW net zero by 2050, Sri Cement again net zero concrete by 2050. Adani has committed for net zero, but they have not declared the year. So with this, they are expecting the emission intensity to come down well below. And the graph shows the roadmap, which was mentioned by DPIIT and NCCBM in the previous discussion. This was the emission in 2017, and then we are expecting that in business as usual, it will come to 0.62. Maybe in deep decarbonization, it will come down to 0.47. Next slide, please. So we have just developed, can you go to the next slide? Further cursor, yeah. So these are the various technologies available. So energy efficiency, as I mentioned earlier, the Indian cement plants at the average level, there is still some further potential, but the top cream, say top 30% are people who are very voluntary and who are forward looking, have already achieved near to saturation. Maybe the clean tech or fuel switch is what people are aiming for. And WHR, there is some further potential. A clinker factor, of course, the country is in good level, but further it can be done. Renewable energy is one other area where people are having priority next to energy efficiency and alternative fuels. And then the transportation is another area which people are looking at a cost reduction measure also, though it may not immediately reduce the carbon emission. And then maybe the extended producer responsibility efforts at the concrete level, maybe the other area. Then they may start looking at carbon capture. But of course, some of the plants we will see in the further slides, they are interested in exploring, they are interested in doing capacity building, they are interested in doing POC or some trial towards the carbon capture and carbon offsets and further. And another important lever or support needed is to develop systems, skill development in all these areas, which are the new technologies and the forward-looking areas. Next slide, please. So in the recent energy award competition, which we have been doing for the last 25 years, we also took feedback from the major groups. Of course, the 55 cement plants across the country out of, say, 150, who are the top cream or the top layer of the plants representing the major groups. We requested them a few feedbacks. So these are the latest upcoming technologies. How many of that you have already implemented? How many you are considering as on date? And then what you think that you will be doing in future? So this is a sample form we collected from the major groups, all the 55 cement plants. Can you please go to the next slide, please? So the analysis from them shows that whatever we have seen, these plants represent 60% the capacity in the country. On solar PV or in renewable energy, 63% have already implemented, and 34%, it means 97% of them, either they have implemented, they have the potential to increase the scale, or they are actively considering it. So renewable energy is definitely one area. And then hot air recirculation or waste heat recovery is another area which again people have more than 90%, close to 85% opportunity, and they are interestingly looking for. And then in IoT, automation, artificial intelligence and machine learning, 66% people said they have implemented some portion of it. And then 20% of the people have said they are interested further. So 80% of the people are interested in AI and ML. Of course, carbon capture, no pilot, nothing has happened in cement sector in India. Of course, we need the support from Sweden team here. And the good point here is 35% of them said they are under consideration. They are interested in doing POC. They are interested in discussing this further. They are interested in taking it future. Of course, 60% of them, 50% of them said we will do it in future. But 40% of them are interested in discussing this, taking this forward. Next slide, please. So the other technologies like mentioned by our colleague in DPIIT, the oxy-fuel technology, 30% of them are interested in exploring that. And then electric vehicles, again, is another area, as I mentioned earlier, 78% or 79% of the people are either considering it, 20% of them have tried it at a very small level. Maybe chlorine bypass is another area, because the moment we go to more than 30%, 40%, maybe chlorine bypass system is another area which almost 40% of them are interested in. 20% of them have implemented, then 30% of them are considering it seriously. So this also is a direct indication that at least 40% of them are aiming at a very high level of alternative fuels, which again can help us in transferring the technologies in terms of co-processing, pre-processing, maybe emission control, maybe mechanisms to increase it further. And this also gives opportunity to expand the scope of work to the government, the municipalities and the community. Next slide, please. So, like for example, these three graphs give the 7 technologies, what are all the various technologies, how much percentage of people have given the importance for each of this technology. I will not dwell more into this because of the lack of time. But of course, if you have any further questions, we can always discuss it, and we'll be very happy to provide further information. Next slide, please. Yeah. So to sum up, what Indian cement industry is looking for. We want maybe the technology readiness level of various the technologies which are under R&D, which are under trial stage, which are under lab scale. Like you said, you have shared that in a very useful information. Maybe the Indian cement industry is looking for proof of concept, maybe some trial with some financial support, so that this can be done at local conditions. This can be customized. There can be a learning, and then the Indian cement industry can learn from each other, and then they can do. Of course, financial requirement is another area. Then policy support is needed for few of the levers like hydrogen or oxy-fuel, or maybe increasing the alternative fuel to say 80% or 100%, like that is happening in other countries. Some more policy support is needed. Maybe the long-term agreement with municipalities and state governments for continuous supply of alternative fuels is another area. Maybe in some of the newer lever technologies, we need to develop a business model, either in terms of carbon capture or in terms of carbon utilization. These business models have to be established in India. It has to be customized. Of course, we need skill development for all these latest technologies, because like in 1980s, when the entire cement industry in India converted from wet process to dry process, now we are in the same situation, like all the technologies have to be adopted or transformed to a net zero technology or a futuristic technology. A lot of skill development is also required. Maybe the national carbon markets, upcoming national carbon markets or CBAM requirement. Of course, the cement is not getting exported at a very high level from India, but of course, the carbon tax and local carbon market, how to align that and then how to explore that, that can be the other area. Of course, I have also mentioned the technologies. It can be carbon capture at the last, maybe LC3, then application-based low carbon cement, higher TSR, electrification of the cement sector, including the calcination and logistics. Maybe the green concrete, that is another area which we can work. Of course, material circularity, and then digitization, AI and AML to the next level. I think this is what, in a nutshell, the Indian cement industry is looking for. And then next slide, please. One short-term target could be what we had during our recent cement conference. Many of the leaders felt that this can be one immediate aspiration. Maybe at a country level, average level with 500 million tons of cement, 15% TSR from today's 6%, maybe 20% RE from today's 5%, maybe 100% in grinding units. There are more than 100 grinding units in the country, which can become 100% renewable energy. Maybe 1,200 megawatt of waste heat recovery additional. And then maybe electrification, hydrogen in kilns, maybe pilot, maybe low clinker factor, further down, maybe 1,500 or 2,000 trucks, e-trucks deployment. And then, of course, AI for cement manufacturing. This can be the aspirations for next 5 years, which with both of us working together, Sweden companies can definitely support this, and LeadIT can play a significant role in making Indian cement industry to achieve these numbers. Thank you very much. That was my last slide. So thanks for your patient listening. And then the next slide, please. So that's all from my side. Thank you. So this is our building.
Thank you very much.
Again, supported by one of the Swedish company. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. And I hope we can have some more discussion about this or some questions in the end. So now we are going to the next presentation from Swedish Energy Agency, and then we will present the market opportunities in the Indian cement sector. So Lisen, please.
Thank you, Katarina. Good morning, good afternoon, good to meet you all. My name is Lisen. I'm working at the International Business Development Unit at the Swedish Energy Agency, where I'm focusing on India. I'm just going to go through a little bit about us, our work in India, and then my colleague Ludwig will tell you more about the call for proposals that we are launching. So next slide, please. So the Swedish Energy Agency, I'm sure many of you already know us. We're National Authority for Energy Policy Issues, and we sort under the Ministry for Climate and Enterprise. Our Director General is appointed by the government, and with the largest financier of energy-related research in Sweden, with an annual budget of 150 million euros. We work around 500 of us work here in the agency, based in Eskilstuna, 1 hour train ride from Stockholm. And we have a lot of national obligations, national tasks, but we also have international work. We do expert promotion in the unit where me and my colleague Ludwig are sitting. And we're also representing Sweden in different organizations such as IRENA, IEA, and we are responsible for implementing the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Next slide, please. So how we work, the ministry gives us instructions every year based on parliamentary decisions. And then we can also get additional tasks in addition to this. For example, a larger program for supporting PV installations in private houses and also the industrial leap are separate direct tasks. So we are, as the system looks in Sweden, we are quite autonomous. We decide how and with what instruments our objectives should be met. We have 3 main roles. We have a steering role in that we are enforcing governmental and parliamentary decisions. We also have a supporting role. We finance energy-related research, and we spread information about energy and climate issues. And we're an expert authority, providing the public and the government and the research world with statistics, analysis, and forecasts. Next slide, please. So this is a quote from our previous Director General, Mr. Robert Andrén, and also capturing quite well why we are also working with export promotion and looking at introducing Swedish technologies in other markets. While we're a small country and we're responsible for a small amount of the CO2 emissions, we think that we can punch above our weight when it comes to mitigation. And through working with other countries, we can help accelerate their transition to a greener energy system. Next slide, please. We've been working in India for quite some time, since 2009, and India is a very valuable partner for Sweden. India has high ambitions when it comes to climate, and the sheer market size gives very good conditions for Swedish companies and innovations to test and scale their products and their innovations. So throughout the years, we've been working on projects together with the institutions in India around areas such as renewable energy, waste to energy, microgrids, and we have implemented more than 60 CDM projects under the Kyoto Protocol. And just to look at why we're here today, currently we're prioritizing 2 things. One of them is the India-Sweden Innovations Accelerator Program, our market introduction program that is running on the 12th year now. It's very broad in its technical application. Many different technologies are represented, but and why we're here today, we are focusing on the LeadIT 2.0 industry transition partnership between the 2 countries in steel and cement. Next slide, please. So, as Johanna already also talked about, the ITP, India-Sweden Industry Transition Partnership, focuses on steel and cement and is divided into, you could say, 4 different work packages. The aim is to strengthen the institutional framework and unlock conditions for technology demonstration projects. It also aims to foster innovation in a broad sense, research and development and capacity building, and to mobilize finance. And the two sentences here, two packages that are highlighted are the ones where the Swedish Energy Agency are implementing partners. And all of those four are aiming towards producing and facilitating pilot and demonstration projects by COP30, as Johanna also mentioned. Next, please. So the priorities for ITP for this year are a little bit different in the different sectors or the different technology tracks. So in steel, we are now defining the scope and the joint prioritizations, and we're onboarding this dedicated stakeholders. We're also providing, we're presenting a sector analysis by the end of the year from Sweden, looking at the Indian steel sector to identify where can we actually start working together. And for that, we have appointed Sverim, something I think also is that familiar name to many of the listeners. And in cement, we are working a bit differently. We are collecting now interest from Swedish companies that we think would be interested in introducing the technology to India. And we're defining where can we start? Are there any low-hanging fruits, or should we aim for the breakthrough technology? So looking into what is there and making them aware of the opportunity in India. And we have appointed RISE for that work. Next, please. So just to sum up our role and SCA's role, as it is when we are doing research finance, we're looking to remove some of the risk for the Swedish companies that are interested in introducing technology to India through pre-feasibility and feasibility studies. We're also functioning as a nominator and co-financing for that part. So we'll be working with the Swedish parts of the collaboration projects. We're communicating and reaching out to the Swedish industry, and we're working closely together with our colleagues at the Department for Internal Trade and CII as well. And we're contributing this way to targets set for COP29, COP30. Next slide. And now I'm going to hand over to Ludwig, who will talk more about the call for proposals that we're launching.
Thank you, Lisa, and good to be here and see that there are so many listening to us. So we started with a broad perspective, the global perspective, LeadIT, moving closer to this specific initiative, Industry Transition Partnership between Sweden and India, and how the Swedish Energy Agency have a role in this to try to promote collaboration projects between partners in the industry. From start, we have, from our side, we have started to develop our network, and you have met them here now today. RISE on the Swedish side, and on the Indian side, we have DPIIT, NCCBM, and Confederation of Indian Industry, and you will see more of them, provided you are interested in joining us on this journey. And I will tell you what we will do from that aspect. So next slide, please. We're having this call for proposals. And we have a fairly broad approach. We're looking for all kind of technologies, innovations, companies with interesting ideas throughout the whole cement and concrete value chain. The guiding principle is actually the objective, decarbonization. So we look forward to you proposing to us how you can contribute to decarbonization in the sector. We're looking for small, medium, and large companies. and institutes and academia can be part of it, but it will be the companies, the industry who are in the lead. And we're looking for Swedish companies with that already have an technology, innovation, a solution, a well-developed idea, and they are interested to take this further together with an Indian partner. Next slide, please. So we define it as pre-feasibility studies. It's a preparatory step. It's about finding the Indian partner or partners, and together develop what kind of collaboration can you put up based on your technology, your experiences, your expertise, together with the expertise on the Indian side. And together, the Swedish and the Indian partners shall then describe what would be the next project, aiming for a feasibility study, and define this project in terms of all relevant areas, scope, objectives, resources, and responsibilities. So this is a pre-step prior to a feasibility study aiming for a pilot project. Next slide, please. The total budget for this call is 4 million kronor. The maximum amount is 500,000, and we can give up to 70% grants. Some dates, you already heard about the upcoming date in October. Katarina told you about India-Sweden Innovation Day in Stockholm on the 14th of October. That week, we're also most likely there will be organized an incoming delegation from India with the cement industry actors, and they will be here, and it's possible for you to meet them on the Innovation Day in Stockholm on the 14th of October. Then the call closes on the 25th. We are aiming for a fast process, so the decisions should be done through November. So we're hoping to have the project started in the beginning of December. We will also organize together with our partners in India a delegation in March. This one is optional. You can have it as part of your project. It could be a good advice because we will try to open up all our networks for you. So it can be a kickstart to find partners, to understand the market needs, and find out how to put up a project together with an Indian partners. Based on that, you then hand in your final report, and the project should be ended and reported in the end of July, 31st of July. And that is this call for proposals, and I think that was the last slide. Yes.
Yes, so maybe now thank you very much, Ludwig and Lisen, for presentation of the Swedish part, and maybe now we can open for questions or discussion. Do we have any questions actually in the chat? I will see if there was anything there.
There is one question here I see. Are there already projects ongoing with Swedish and Indian companies together? Yes, there are a lot of collaboration projects. Some of them actually resulting from our activities, but as far as we know, there are actually some also related to cement between Swedish and Indian actors, and let them speak for themselves. But but with this call, we're trying to broaden this and bring more partners into the picture.
There is another question concerning sharing today's presentation, so I can just inform you that we will look through our presentation, ask the presenters, and then we can inform you by email where we put those presentations. There is also a recording of this seminar today, as you noticed, and we will also put it on the one place, probably at Ludwig. We will decide it where we put it, either at your place or at Rice's place somewhere. So where the information will be accessible, for sure. Are there any other questions? Maybe if, you can either write the questions in Swedish, or you can also put up the speaker and ask and start a discussion about the maybe possibilities how to apply, because I have maybe one question. Is this proposal, because the deadline for application is quite soon, the information is the call was launched yesterday, so it's quite new. Is this very difficult to apply actually for the project? And how big are the single projects?
The total budget, as I said, is 4 million. We're looking for, and it's a pre-step. We call it pre-feasibility studies. You can apply for 500,000 and corresponding to 70%. So roughly the project could be a project value of 750 Swedish kronor. No, it's not more difficult than other calls we have. It's on our website. It's just you register to e-kanalen and then you make your application. And you mentioned that there is quite a short time span, and yeah, that's true. Because here we're looking for projects that are based on that there is already a solution or an idea, technology in place. The next step for the development journey could be taken together with an Indian partners. That it's those kind of projects we're looking for here.
Okay, there is another question that you might answer. Is there any platform to find interested Swedish and Indian companies?
No, that should be through this network that is kind of established here today, being us, Swedish Energy Agency, RISE, Confederation of Indian Industry, and DPIT and NC. No, so it's the best way would be to reach out to us, and we will then try to put you together. And there is a question whether you need to have an Indian partner before applying, or do we apply first and then look for partners? Yeah, that is the two ways to go about it. If you already have an understanding of the Indian market, or maybe have some contacts, discussion going on, that would be considered as a positive. But you don't have to have already a defined partner. That is what this project is about. We support you to find your partner, and together with your partner define your collaboration project based on your existing solution.
So the applicant can be only one actually who is applying?
Yes.
Is there any plan to involve the academical actors more in the future calls?
We think so. I think that will come as a natural step when the industry need that assistance. And as you mentioned yourself, Katarina, you will be there in the background for,
of course,
all of them.
Yes, so it's I just want to repeat this again, that we from RISE, we can help you to discuss the ideas, maybe not the development of whole ideas, but anyway to validate them and even help with possible contacts towards India. We have already some contacts, so we can also discuss it with Ludwig and Lisen about this. But anyway, if you have any ideas that you want to verify before you are applying, so you can also contact me before you are sending in something. Any other questions? I think the description of the call was very straightforward. So just to repeat this, Ludwig, that it's very close to the market. Yes. The idea needs to be focused within the actually quite broad value chain for cement and concrete industry. We were hearing about everything from using the waste material for as alternative fuel for those plants, for cement plants, and new materials. They are talking also about clay. Johanna was also mentioning about this production of clay, which was developed by a Swiss scientist, LC3, but there are also other types of materials. I didn't hear so much actually about the slag and fly ash, because in Europe we are having quite big shortage of these materials. I don't know how it is going in India. And then also about mixed design and so on. So it's actually, this call can cover quite a lot of aspects, but everything needs to be towards the net zero in cement industry.
Yes, that's correct. And one also what Katarina mentioned in the beginning, the NCCBM are organizing this conference in the end of November. That could be a potential opportunity to meet up with Indian partners or join the conference and just for fact-finding mission. And again, we are organizing a delegation in March together with our partners in India.
This conference in India is just for clarification, is after the deadline of this call, but it's actually an opportunity to maybe materialize the contact with Indian partners that you are applying for, because you might have an idea, but not yet end user of the technology you want to develop together with an Indian partner. This call is a little bit different, Ludwig. We are from Research Institute. We are not really used to discuss these pre-studies, where you can actually ask for financing the ideas, but your idea needs to be quite mature. So this is an interesting call for all industrial partners, I would say.
I think Felipe Sanchez is raising his hand.
Yes. So Felipe.
Thank you both. Maybe just to add for the consideration of those listening in on the call, I just wanted to say that LeadIT, so Felipe Sanchez from LeadIT is organizing a cement delegation from India to visit sites from the LeadIT cement members within Sweden. So the dates of that delegation visit will be from the 14th to the 17th of October. This is to coincide with India-Sweden Innovation Day as well. The delegation so far consists of Dalmia Cement, JSW Cement, Sagar Cement at Chief Sustainability Officer and plant level kind of participation. And I just wanted to raise this because it's also an opportunity for dialogue, bilateral, ahead of the deadline for this Energimyndigheten call at the moment. So do please get in touch with me if you want more details on that.
Felipe, do you have any link to check this visit or to sign up for the visit that people could have actually, and copy this link in the chat right now?
I don't have a link, but I'm happy to share a concept note, or as I say, if you want to get in touch, if anyone's interested, just get in touch directly with me.
Okay.
And to clarify, for those of you, you can reach out to anyone here, Rice, Katarina, or us at the Energy Agency, or the Felipe at the LeadIT Secretariat. Whatever question you will have, we will try to make sure the right organization is there to answer it.
So do we have one question more for audience?
Okay. And you will have our contact details, so you can come back with follow-up questions should there be any later on. And the call is already open.
Yes. And the call exactly, it can be found under the Energimyndigheten calls. Maybe we should put the link directly in the chat. If somebody can do it quickly, then you can have a direct access to the information in the text. So if there are no further questions, I would like to thank you all for participation and listening to our guests from India, to Johanna, Ludwig and Lisen for information about the specific call, and we hope for a good response from all of you, because the call is closing 25th of October. And of course, we from RISE, we can also support you in discussing the ideas. So we are available for this cooperation also. Thank you very much. Thank you all speakers, and we will inform you where we are putting the presentations afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you from India.